I watched as my children pulled thick folders stuffed with deeds, contracts, and millions. $30 million, split right there in front of me. And then, the lawyer slid a half-torn, dusty envelope across the table. That was my share. 45 years of sacrifice, nights alone, holding our family together, reduced to a scrap of paper. My daughter-in-law smirked, whispering loud enough for everyone to hear. At least she can use it for recipes. The room laughed. But when I opened that envelope, what I found inside silenced every single one of them. If you were in my place, with everyone's eyes burning into you, what would you have done? Thrown that dusty envelope back across the table, or swallowed the humiliation in silence? And before I reveal how I fought back in that very moment, let me pause just for a heartbeat. Because if you're drawn into stories like this, of sacrifice, betrayal, and tables turned, then make sure you subscribe to Twist Stories and hit the notification bell right now so you never miss the next twist. While you're here, I'd love to know, where are you watching from today? Drop a comment below. Who knows? Your city, your experience, your voice might echo in the very next story we tell. My name is Margaret Collins, but people call me Maggie. I'm 69. I spent my life keeping a family together while someone else built an empire. I thought that was the point of devotion. Then the will was read. My sons opened thick folders full of deeds and checks. $30 million was divided across the table like it belonged to them. Everyone smiled, signatures already imagined. The lawyer slid one last thing to me, a dusty, half-torn envelope with my name on it. That was my share. Melissa laughed so everyone could hear. At least she can use that for recipes. The room joined in. I felt the humiliation like a physical hand. I opened the envelope. Dust puffed up like a tiny ghost. Inside was not a sentimental note. It was a secret Richard had kept from them all. A Swiss bank account. $100 million. Payable, crucially, only to me. And in the margin, a single name, Charlie Grant. They thought they'd robbed me. They didn't know they'd handed me the detonator. Yesterday, my son split $30 million. I got a dusty envelope. This morning, they came for my house. The kitchen felt like it was holding its breath. Sunlight spilled across the marble as I clutched a chipped mug Richard once promised to fix next weekend. There was always another weekend. At 9, the doorbell. 2 men in navy polos stood, clipboard in hand, efficient like movers who already knew where my life belonged. "Morning, Mrs. Collins. We're here to catalog vehicles and personal property transferring to Collins Construction Holdings." "To what?" "Company assets, per directives signed by Mr. Andrew Collins yesterday." My spine hardened. The cars were paid from personal funds. The Steinway is mine. The China is mine. The photographs, my voice trembled. "Get off my porch." They blinked. Widows were supposed to be pliable. "We can call Mr. Collins. You prefer leaving now." I shut the door. My hands shook with rage. Not fear. Rage boils, fear chills. I touched Richard's letter again. Trust no one, not even family. If someone showed up to take what you built, would you let them or draw your line at the welcome mat? At noon, Andrew arrived with Melissa. She drifted to the shelves, red nails tapping our family albums as though pricing them. Andrew carried a leather folder. "We need to move forward, Mom. Power of attorney, medical, financial. I'll handle everything." "Emotional decisions," Melissa echoed, slipping a photo of Richard and me into her handbag. I skimmed the papers, legal language trying to disguise its teeth. "No." Andrew smiled tightly. "You're grieving." "I am clear. You're almost 70. You forget things." Melissa added, "We worry you'll leave the stove on." I slid the folder back. "When I forget your father's name, we can talk. Until then, take your concern and your clipboard men off my lawn." His eyes hardened. "You don't want to make this difficult." "Difficult?" My voice was calm. You dropped Mom. That's difficult. He pocketed the folder. We'll revisit Willow Creek. Melissa's tone was syrupy. A lovely community, resort-style, supervised medications. For the record, I said, my medications fit in a tea tin. Andrew shrugged. We'll schedule a capacity exam, standard. Dr. Carter can... No. My hands were steady now. You will not schedule anything for me. He kissed the air near my cheek. They left. Melissa's perfume lingered like oil. That night, the house whispered. In Richard's study closet, I found a hidden slit in the seam. Inside, a silver key, thumb length, no label. The letter hadn't mentioned a key, only a bank account. And a name, Charlie Grant. Keys belong to locks, locks to secrets, secrets to the living. At dawn, a text. If you are safe, do not reply. If you are not safe, reply weather. CG, too early for trust. I put the phone face down. By 9, Brian arrived. He smelled of expensive cologne over something sour. Ma, he kissed my forehead. You okay? I'm here. Busy, he said. Press wants a quote. I told them I'm the news story. He grinned, pulling a contract. Just need your signature. Technical, asset protection, blah, blah. I scanned a page. Why borrow against properties we own outright? And why does the guarantor list your holding company? His grin faltered. Why are you being hostile? I'm being literate. He slouched. Andrew said you'd be difficult. Behind his bravado, I heard Richard's warnings. Cartel whispers. Favors owed. I softened. You look tired. He laughed, then cracked. Everyone thinks I'm weak. I'm not. I can make things happen faster than Andrew ever could. Faster isn't stronger, I said. Sometimes it's just louder. He snatched the contract. Fine, don't help me. At the doorway, you're either with us or in the way. When the door closed, I gripped the desk until the world steadied. I will never be in the way of my own survival. If your child tried to press you into surrender, would you argue or let silence draw the sharper line? 3 days later, my credit cards failed. Suspicious activity, the rep chirped. Authorized manager Andrew Collins. I hung up. Another card declined. Bills marked past due. Groceries canceled themselves. They were testing how long it would take me to beg. I cooked from the pantry. Bean stew from stubbornness. Walked to save gas. Neighbors waved with pity. On Friday, a courier brought a glossy brochure, Willow Creek Senior Living. On top, a consent form already filled with my name, the voluntary box neatly checked. Next page, evaluation scheduled at my home. Wednesday, 10 a.m. by Dr. Thomas Carter. Andrew's note, Mom, this is for the best. You'll be comfortable. We'll handle everything. A. I placed it in a drawer, lit a candle, prayed out loud. God, teach me where to put my anger so it becomes a tool, not a weapon. Saturday, Melissa staged a family dinner at our flagship restaurant. Shareholders, department heads, local press, a performance. Mid-dessert, she rose. Thank you for your support. The Collins legacy continues with Andrew's leadership and Brian's innovation. And of course, Maggie's blessing. Heads turned toward me. Andrew beamed. Mom, say a few words? I stood. Richard built this company with grit and vision. But legacy isn't just concrete. It's how you treat people, especially when they have nothing left to give you. Melissa's smile stuttered. Andrew clapped too loudly. To Mom, he cut in. Later, by the mirror, Melissa cornered me. You looked lovely tonight. You do so much with so little. Careful, I said. Mirrors are honest. She leaned close. Sign the power of attorney. Go quietly to Willow Creek, or you'll make this ugly. You can't make ugly what's already rotten, I said. But rot makes room for gardens. She blinked, then laughed. Poetry. At home, I lay awake. Some fears arrive like intruders, others like relatives who don't knock. I brewed tea. On the desk, the silver key gleamed like punctuation. At 7 a.m., the bell, a courier, a small heavy package, and a white card. Do not call. Do not text. If you are alone, open now. CG inside. A USB drive, a photocopy of a storage locker contract, and a brass tag stamped with a number and address. Taped to it, 27128. The key on my desk slid perfectly into the tag's hole. A second text buzzed, Wednesday, 9:30 a.m. Go before Dr. Carter arrives at 10. If you want your life back, bring the drive to me. Back entrance of Grant and Myers. CGT cooled in my hand. My heart warmed like an engine. For the first time since the will, something inside me unfolded. I slipped the key, USB and tag into my pocket, looked out at the maple Richard once said could crack any sidewalk with enough patience. Patience, I whispered, and timing. If you had one day to choose between submission and strategy, which would you pick? And what would you risk to reclaim your name? In the kitchen, the kettle clicked off, a small, faithful sound. In the silence that followed, I heard the future knock, polite, relentless, right on time. They thought the dusty envelope was the end of me. Instead, it was the key that changed everything. Wednesday dawned cold and clean, the kind of morning that makes even lies look sharp. I dressed like any widow running errands, cardigan, flats, a tired tote. In my pocket, the silver key, the brass tag, the code. In my chest, a drumbeat I hadn't felt since my first job interview, fear and purpose pulling the same carriage. I drove without music. The storage facility crouched behind warehouses by the river, rows of blue doors like numbered eyelids. Unit 312. I slipped the brass tag onto my finger, turned the dial. 27128. The lock yielded with a reluctant sigh. Inside, a shelf, a banker's box, and a small black safe. The silver key fit as if it had always been waiting. I lifted the lid. The air shifted. On top, Richard's handwriting, square and stubborn. Maggie. If you are reading this, it means I failed to teach our sons the difference between inheritance and entitlement. You are not poor. You are not powerless. You are the majority owner. Beneath, a laminated stock certificate, Collins Holding Company, 51% voting shares in my name. A notarized memorandum explaining why my name never appeared publicly, to protect me from press and predators. Behind it, a board resolution naming me interim chair in extraordinary governance risk. I sat on the concrete and cried, not for money, not for power, but because the dusty envelope had in fact been a key. Richard had trusted me, quietly in his cautious way. Below, uglier truths. Andrew's gambling transfers, drawn from contingency funds. Photos of Brian in alleyway deals. A transcript of Brian threatening a waitress. You like your job, don't you? Thumb drives labeled by month. A draft sale of company assets, 30 days slashed valuation, with a clause predicting reduced litigation risk upon guardianship of Margaret Collins due to diminished capacity. Even the psychiatrist's name was penciled in. T. Carter. MD Rage wanted to be a storm. I asked it to be a river. Focused. Unstoppable. At the bottom, a business card. Charles Charlie Grant, Counsel. On the back, if Maggie shows this, you owe her everything. CG. Taped to it, a slim security fob. I took what I needed, locked the rest, and whispered to the blue door, "Thank you." The back entrance to Grant and Myers looked like an afterthought between dumpsters. I pressed the fob. The door clicked. Inside, lemon cleaner, printer ink. In a windowless room sat a man with iron gray hair, sleeves rolled, tie loosened. "Mrs. Collins," he said, rising. "Charlie Grant." "My husband trusted you," I said. "He trusted you more." His words steadied me. I laid out everything. Shares, board resolution, the draft sale, the crimes. Charlie made no sympathetic sounds, only notes, pen sharp as a scalpel. "This is enough," he said. "Not to win everything today, but to stop their clock." "My sons?" I asked, swallowing the word. "What they chose," he said, "but first we secure you." He slid a checklist. File notice of ownership discreetly. Injunction against asset sales. Revoke Andrew's unauthorized appointments. Move my residence into trust. Assign neutral fiduciary POA. Healthcare proxy. My physician, not theirs. Practical? I asked. Separate bank accounts. Move Swiss funds in tranches. Private security. Plain clothes, not suits. Cameras, cloud backup. And when Dr. Carter arrives at 10, you'll be ready. Prepared how? He let silence sharpen suspense. "Mrs. Collins," he said, "do you want to destroy your sons?" "No, stop them. Give them a chance to become the men their father once believed in." He nodded. "Then we punish behavior, not blood." He handed me 2 devices, a button-sized live recorder and a silent alarm. "Tap 3 times if endangered. My tech will install cameras before Carter arrives. Your own physician will run a baseline, recognized by court." "One request," he added. "When they push, don't shove. Ask questions. Predators reveal themselves when they over-explain." "Invite the snake to keep talking," I said. "Exactly." I returned home at 9:24. A technician named Nora and her partner moved like careful ghosts. Cameras in foyer mirror, living room shelf, study clock. By 9:41, a plain sedan idled across the street. Security dressed like life. At 9:45, Deborah Lawson, our attorney, called. "Margaret, filings just crossed my desk naming you majority owner. Care to explain?" "I will," I said. "After 10. "You have counsel," she guessed. "I have clarity." She exhaled respect. "Then I'll await your call." At 9:59, I opened the front door to let the house breathe. At 10:03, a black sedan eased up. Dr. Thomas Carter stepped out, leather bag in hand, smile pre-creased to look compassionate. Andrew and Melissa followed, concern pinned, like matching corsages. "Mom," Andrew said, "this is Dr. Carter." "A friendly assessment," Carter added. "Quick, painless." "Painless," Melissa echoed. I stepped back. "Please, come in. Tea?" My voice light, as if hosting book club instead of an ambush. Dr. Carter sat where the camera had a clean line. Andrew prowled. Melissa's eyes raked the room. The cameras saw her seeing. He began. "Small talk, then date, place, my son's names." I answered evenly. Then his questions leaned. "Do you forget bills?" "I get angry when bills arrive I didn't authorize. Is anger a symptom, doctor?" He laughed too quickly, eyes flicking at Andrew. "Whose baseline are we establishing?" I asked. "Yours or theirs?" Melissa leaned in. "We're worried about you." "I know. Worry and control often wear the same coat. If someone tried to rewrite your future in your living room, would you shout or raise the standard of the questions you allow?" I asked Carter. "How did you come to be here? As my son's private call or as officer of a corporation he doesn't legally control?" Andrew blanched. "Because if it's the latter," I said, "we may have a governance issue, and you, doctor, a boundary issue." I laid a small folder on the table, safe but not yet explosive. In here, notarized proof I am majority owner, a temporary restraining order ready to file. "Andrew, perhaps explain to Dr. Carter why you told him I was incompetent before anyone tested me." "You're bluffing," Andrew said. "Maybe, but kitchen's taught me timing. Seasoning you can't fix later." Dr. Carter shifted. "We can reschedule." "No, we continue, after my own physician arrives at 10:30 and after my attorney joins by phone." I held his gaze. "Unless you prefer to leave now." Silence hummed like a tuning fork. Melissa snapped, "She's manipulating you." "Possibly," I said. "People my age are accused of worse." Andrew's voice cracked softer. "Mom, what are you doing?" "Not burning down our house, just turning off the gas." If a line had to be drawn between love and survival, where would you draw yours? A car door slammed outside, my physician arriving. I stood. "Andrew," I said. "Sit, stay. This can still be the gentle way." He searched my face for the mother who surrendered. He didn't find her. Outside, the maple leaves trembled, like 1,000 green hands applauding a storm no one else could see. They split 30 million and handed me a dusty envelope expecting me to vanish. This is where that envelope changed everything. At 10:28 a.m., Dr. Patel arrived with her rolling case and the calm of someone who listens more than she speaks. Andrew sat in the armchair, fingers tapping an anxious rhythm. "Mrs. Collins," Dr. Patel said, "a quick MO-CA and functional check. 20 minutes. She glanced at Andrew. "You may remain if she consents." "I consent," I said. "On one condition, no interruptions." Andrew nodded without looking up. We moved through the questions: date, place, subtracting by sevens, drawing a clock. Meanwhile, the house itself watched. Foyer mirror camera on the door, mantel clock camera on Andrew's restless face. Dr. Patel finished and notarized. Fully oriented above baseline, I exhaled for the first time all morning. A knock, Charlie's rhythm. I let him in. Thin briefcase, steady presence. "Good morning, Ms. Lawson," he said toward the speakerphone. Deborah's voice answered. A clerk clicked in, then Grant and Myers' counsel. The living room became a courtroom with better light. Andrew half rose. "What is this?" "Clarity," I said. "Sit." Charlie cut straight in. On behalf of Ms. Collins, majority owner and interim chair of Collins Holding, we enter Dr. Patel's assessment, the UBO confirming control, and a proposed temporary order halting any sale or appointment until Friday's hearing. He tapped his phone. Deborah confirmed receipt. Andrew clenched his jaw. "You can't—" "Listen," I said. He stilled. Charlie continued. "Exhibits also show unauthorized transactions and a capacity exam scheduled without consent." From the hall, Melissa's voice. "We were protecting her." "By freezing my cards? By pre-signing intake forms?" I asked. "That's protection," she faltered. "We can still settle this privately." "Private must be honest," I said, pressing a remote. The TV lit with Richard's old home screen, then cut to a split video. Melissa rifling drawers as Andrew copied estate files onto a drive. Andrew paled. Melissa froze. I pressed a second button. Their voices played. "Just get the file, Andy. If she signed anything, we shred and replace. By the time she complains, Tom will certify she's not competent." Andrew lunged. Charlie shifted 1 inch and Andrew stopped. "I installed cameras within the law," I said, "after your first attempt to move me like furniture." Deborah's voice on the line. "Andrew, this is very bad." "You set us up," he snapped. "You set yourselves up," Charlie replied evenly. "If you had proof that could end the lies in your family, would you show it in public or in the room where the lies were born?" Andrew tried a softer mask. "Mom, investors are circling. Brian's in trouble. We needed leverage." "Leverage without consent is theft," I said. "Chaos you create isn't credit for control." Melissa smirked. "Where's the thank you?" "I don't thank people who try to erase me, but I will give you a choice." Charlie laid 2 stacks on the table. Set A, public filings, audits, referrals to the DA. Set B, the gentle way, sealed decree, new governance, rehabilitation plan. Andrew scoffed. "Rehabilitation? Conditions," Charlie said. I spoke. "Andrew, Set B requires your resignation as CEO, 1-year site apprenticeship, dawn shifts, financial counseling, repayment of misused funds, in 2 years maybe a VP role." His face burned. "You want me to be a foreman?" "I want you to be a man," I said. "Builders build." He said nothing. I turned to Melissa. "Return what you took. Sign you won't act for Collins. Severance, then leave this house. If you leak anything about my health, I'll release the footage. Choose dignity." Her fists clenched, then dropped. "You think you can shame me?" "No, I think you can save yourself." Is mercy weakness, or the boundary that keeps us from becoming what hurt us? Charlie slid a third packet. For Brian, treatment, cooperation with law enforcement, supervised work after 6 months. Ms. Collins will not press charges if he complies. A door opened. Brian entered, shoulders bowed. I'm here. Heard everything. He raised his hands. I'll sign. I need out. You need through, I told him. Out has no map. Through is a path. He cried quietly, the way men remember they were once boys. Andrew whispered, You really would have gone public? I do whatever protects those who still know how to love. Charlie checked his watch. The clerk needs an answer by noon. Outside, a lawnmower droned, indifferent to dynasties. Andrew sat, pen in hand. You always said dignity matters. I thought it was just an old word. He signed. I don't want to be this anymore. Melissa's heels clicked anger, then stopped. Her eyes finally softened. I'll return the photographs and the bracelet. She pulled it from her purse, my grandmother's piece. It didn't suit me. Cruelty turned inward at last. Go pack, I said. Charlie scanned and sent the documents. The clerk's voice crackled. Acknowledged. Set B received under seal. We breathed. Victory sometimes sounds like oxygen returning to a room. I face my sons. You'll hate me for a while. You'll say it wasn't fair. But if you become men who build instead of take, you'll call this day something else. What? Brian asked. Mercy that didn't excuse, I said. A door that didn't lock once you walked through. Where would you draw the line for your children? Far enough to protect you, close enough they could still come home. Charlie closed his briefcase. Outside, the maple turned toward gold. The house exhaled. We weren't safe yet. Safety isn't a place. It's a practice. But the gas was off, the matches gone, and in the kitchen the kettle began to sing. Ordinary, miraculous, for being ordinary again. 2 weeks passed in the soft thunder after a storm. The house settled. Cameras stayed. Silent witnesses turned nightlights. Not from fear, but discipline. Safety is a rhythm you practice when no one's watching. Andrew reported to the flagship site at 5:30 a.m. A foreman handed him a shovel. We pour at 7. Andrew said nothing clever. Clever breaks before it bends. Brian checked into rehab under a quiet name. Sweatpants, a Psalms book, the number of a detective Charlie trusted. Tell the truth, I told him. Even when it makes you smaller, then you can grow. He kissed my cheek like a boy letting medicine sting. Melissa returned my grandmother's bracelet and photos, then stepped into a rideshare. No slam door. Silence was its own confession. I wished her a future where winning wasn't the only way to feel real. Deborah called. The decree was sealed. The judge peered over glasses. Ms. Collins, many families come for blood. You came for boundaries. Boundaries, clean. When the Swiss funds landed in trust, Charlie said, This is not a treasure chest. It's a tool chest. Tools build. Treasure invites pirates. We restructured quietly. I took the chair. Interim CEO. Modest. Capable. Andrew. Field apprentice. Brian. On leave. Melissa. No longer with the company. At home, the maple yellowed like an old photograph. I made soup, wrote letters to women in waiting rooms, wives of founders, keepers of payroll secrets. I echoed Richard's words. You are not poor. You are not powerless. Some letters I mailed. Some I kept in a box. Things we should have been told sooner. A month later, I stood at a lectern in cream and gold, a rebellion against widows' gray. Collins Community Day filled an auditorium, line cooks beside engineers beside accountants. I gripped the wood. When my husband died, the world measured me by what fit in a dusty envelope. That envelope was a mirror. Who are you when no one hands you a title? I kept truth clean. We'd faced a season of taking, chosen mercy with accountability. Respect isn't given by blood, I said. It's earned through kindness and through work that outlives our names. Then I announced the Golden Hands Foundation, grants for women 55 plus, emergency housing, microloans without a son's signature, clinics where trust doesn't hurt, and Mentor Grandma, seamstresses guiding upholstery startups, diner owners coaching food trucks, grandmothers of invention steadying ladders for kids with dreams. Applause was long, not loud. People wiped eyes with sleeves. The foreman whistled. Some emotions travel better that way. Second row, Andrew Rose. Boots on, voice plain. My mother is the chair. She asked me to become a builder, so I am. I'll earn respect like concrete earns strength. Slow, under pressure, without show. Treat me like the new guy, and if I skip a step, make me do it twice. He didn't look for approval, only witness. I nodded. The room gave him modest applause. Trust begins with a pilot light, not fireworks. Afterward, a grandmother gripped my arms. I raised 3 boys. They got lost. The map back was hardest. Thank you for drawing one. We'll draw it together, I said. Brian's letters arrived on paper that smelled of soap. No requests for money, just recipes. I sent the pot roast that requires patience more than spice and a list of amends. Tell the truth to the waitress you threatened. Call the vendor you stiffed. Pray for those who frightened you into frightening others. One Sunday, he called. Ma, I apologized to the girl. She said she'd forgiven me, but she liked hearing it out loud. I'm learning to sit with shame without letting it name me. Good, I said. Shame is a smoke alarm. Listen, don't live in the noise. In Richard's desk, I found a final envelope for after you have decided to stay. Inside, an index card with his scrawl. You thought I kept secrets for the company. Truth, I didn't know how to share them without making you carry more. If you're reading this, you chose the right weight, your own name. I loved you in public with a house, a car, a last name. I should have loved you in private with a plan. This is late, but it's honest. R. I cried the way a roof leaks, small, steady, admitting what it endured. I framed the card not for the world, but for nights when ghosts knock. On the first day the maple turned gold, we held the first Mentor Grandma session in a cafeteria that smelled of coffee and sawdust. 10 young people, 5 grandmothers with ledgers and stories. Charge what it costs you, said a baker. Get a receipt in triplicate, said a seamstress. Never sign what you didn't read twice, I added. We laughed, ate cookies, drew the map that grandmother in the auditorium had asked for. A girl with a buzz cut leaned in. Miss Maggie, I don't have a grandma. Can I borrow you? Yes, I said, and I'll borrow you. Keep me honest about the speed of the world. If you had the chance to turn hurt into a handrail for someone else, would you? What advice would you give? From one survivor to another. That night, I stood on the porch with tea. Lights glowed, porch lamp, study window where Richard's card lived. Andrew's old sedan idled. He came with a thumb drive. I kept copies of the photos for the house in my head. Keep them, I said. Remember the drawer. Don't touch the locks again. He smiled, real this time. Yes, ma'am. He hesitated. Mom, about respect. Do you think I can earn it? You just did a little, I said. Come back tomorrow. Do a little more. The maple let a leaf fall between us like a quiet blessing. I tell you this not because I won a battle, but because a woman who had been the envelope learned to be the hand that writes the letter, because those who hurt me were still my children, and the line I drew was a door, not a wall. Because revenge can live in a courtroom, but justice at home is often a boundary and a pot of soup. If you're holding your own dusty envelope, maybe a marriage that minimized you, a child who turned love into leverage, a family who forgot your name, hear me. You are not poor. You are not powerless. Find your Charlie. Find your Dr. Patel. Find your steady. Write your terms for coming home. And if home refuses, build one where your name fits the deed. Now it's your turn. If you were in my shoes, where would you have drawn the line between love and survival? Have you ever watched someone try to disappear you with a smile? What did you do or wish you had done? What would your mentor grandma teach the next generation about money, dignity, or not confusing kindness with weakness? Share your story below. We read comments like letters from friends. And if this tale found you where you needed it, leave a note for the version of yourself who doubted she'd be brave enough. Don't forget to subscribe to Twist Stories so you never miss the next journey from sacrifice to justice, from silence to the voice that finally says, enough.